Okay, so this is business beyond skills as usual. We have it every 2 months, but we it seems we're going to be having it every month now. But let's see how that goes. What's business beyond skills? What's the goal? Business beyond skills was actually something I wanted to. I actually that was brought upon my. Okay, I do we do the sound check now? For okay, is it better now?
My laptop didn't come up, so I will just do it on my phone.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Right?
I can.
Good.
So I'm
Okay,
doing
it's
some.
better. I guess we can start now. Or we should wait till 8.
Um, Either way it goes, I can.
Okay, let me just do my introduction. Then by 8,
Okay. Are you
I would
are you
invite.
recording?
Yes, yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay.
Can you hear some background noises?
On your end,
Yes.
a bit.
Okay, let me close my windows.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's better now. Okay, so this is business beyond skills. It's actually an idea, a vision I had when I was training my students, and I was training them on business of footwear. And while we're teaching, I realized a lot of people should know this beyond just the students. And I started building the idea, and um, I also started ruminating on it. So what is the goal of business beyond skills? The goal of business beyond skills is simply to build excellent minds in the business of crafts. And we are looking at where businesses in the crafts environment and the craft space actually is structured and is also well well led. Is something that can supersede the owner, that when the owner dies, the business will still be there and would also serve the nation as a whole, not just in small scale but also in large scale globally. So today we are going to be talking about defining the system, your workplace culture, and we'll be working and chatting with Mr. Adidi Christopher. Mr. Adidi Christopher is actually a great person, and he is the lead consultant of global visa portals. He creatively coordinates activities of staff towards company sets and objectives. He used to be an engineer, but he's an engineer turned hotelier, and is currently the president and lead volunteer at 2912 Hope Initiative. So today, as I said earlier, we're going to be defining what system actually is. How is it that we can build a system? A person can just build a system in his or her workplace culture. We also want to understand the values and the values that pushes the culture of a place. So today we'll be learning about establishing the chain of command, balancing the experiences of others, aligning it to the workplace values, how to define your system, and building the right culture and being consistent at it, because the truth is there's the right culture and then there's the wrong culture. We can decide that we will just do business and do it and just keep doing business, but the truth is if we decide to be silent, making no choice is a choice and it's going to breed dysfunctionality. So it's best to be clear on the values you want your business to stand upon, so that those that come after you and those that meet you would also build on that and work with that. And in a way, it influences the society at large. So I'm going to be inviting Mr. Chris right now. And we're going to start at exactly 8 p.m. Hello, Mr. Chris.
Hello, Jimmy.
We've been building on this for a long time, so
Yes,
I'm
yes,
actually
yes, yes,
excited
yes.
that we can do this right now and work with what we have.
Exactly.
So you already know that we already know the topic we're talking about, which is defining the system and your workplace culture.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with what exactly is workplace culture, how is the culture formed, and how can it be changed. Let's just hear your views on this.
Okay. Thank you once again, Jumoke. I do not take this opportunity lightly. I'm so grateful and honored for this opportunity to share our 2 cents, because we are all learning, we're all growing in business. Nobody knows it all, business keep evolving. So I'm grateful to share my 2 cents of idea and experience with our listeners. So I'll get right into it. You did a good um, introduction of my very self. So I also just want to reiterate, like she already said, my name is Christopher Adidi. Before I go on, pardon me, my laptop is actually acting up, so I'm actually doing this from my phone, so the view might not be so comfortable with you, but just pardon me and let's just learn with what I say, what we're discussing so far. So my name is Christopher Adidi. I am a serial hotelier and hotelier turned engineer. I'm a trained engineer. I studied at Yaba College of Technology in the early 2000s, and then I forayed into hotelier. Not out of choice, but out of I had a desire to pay my school fees then, so I found myself as that at that level, and then somehow I fell in love with the job, and I grew up the ranks, and I've managed a couple of hotels around Nigeria, around Lagos precisely, only within Lagos, yeah. And I moved on to working with an airline, one of the foremost airlines in Nigeria. And then I forayed into my own business. In 2011, I started my business, and I was doing that simultaneously while working with this airline. And I developed my skills, and I think okay, early or mid part of this year, I co-founded a charity organization called 2912 Hope Initiatives with my partner, David Adewale, who also doubles as a pastor and a bosom friend. So that is a brief introduction of who I am. And I'm married with 2 kids. Yes. So that's much I can say about myself. So going into workplace culture, like I always ask myself, what is workplace culture? How did we come about this term? How did it start, and what is it in actual terms? Workplace culture, simply put, is the so in a layman's English, is actually what you the ambience or the nature or the culture of business in any employment. So take, for instance, you get employed into a business or into a company or an office. The workplace culture is actually what informs the direction and your level of productivity in that business. That the workplace culture will also tell you how long you stay in that employment. The workplace culture also will tell you whether you will prosper or you be a derelict. Permit my words. So what you meet in a company, the nature of business, their business styles, how they relate with their employers, how employees relate with employees, how subordinates relate with their superior is a typical definition of the workplace culture. So what determines your productivity in any business is the culture. There are so many things, and I believe as we go on in this discussion, we will touch them one after the other. Thank you.
So thanks for letting us know what the workplace culture is. As you said, it's simply the ambience of business in any employment, and it informs the productivity of that business at the end of the day. But what we want to know now is this culture, how can it be formed? If as an employer or as an employee in an organization, I'm not sure about the culture of my organization, or I want to start a company and I don't know how to start. I don't know where to start from. So how can I form the right culture from beginning?
Go on. Sorry, I didn't get that part. The call is trying to come in. I'm just trying to terminate all these calls. Okay, go on, please. Sorry about that.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
So I say that for somebody that wants to start an organization or someone that already has an organization, intentionally form the culture I desire, the culture I
Okay, how
want.
to form a business culture? Is that the question? Okay, beautiful. For starters, before you start any business, basically you have to have a direction. You have to have your principles, your guideline, what you want to achieve, which I term as any business must have their mission statement and their vision statement. Your mission statement tells you your long-term goal, what you want to achieve overall in a business. That's the vision statement. And then your mission also gives you the short-term goals. You have to know those things. You have to have them written. Like I lean so much on the Christian faith. As a Christian, there's a portion in my Bible that tells me, it says, write the vision, make it plain, so that anyone who reads it, who are those who will read it? It has to do with your employers, or your employees rather. When you've made up your mind to start up a business, the next thing you have to put in place is your mission, and those must be clear cut. They are your defining values. They are the one that will tell you how far you go. Okay, will you want to, if you, for instance, you get into a business that does a large turnover of transaction, and then you run into business that does offshore transaction as well. What will you do? Say, for instance, if a money bag comes to you and asks you, can we actually use you to launder money across borders? What will define your answer to the mission and your vision statement? If you are sold out to it, if you are committed to your mission and your vision statement, it will be a no-brainer. You have an answer before the question comes in. So your mission statements and your vision statement will actually help you break down your values, your culture, the values and the workplace culture you want to form. You will not, if for instance, you just say, for instance, you're running a barbing salon. I want to come to as basic as it is. So you're running a barbing salon. How do you treat your customers. Okay, say for instance, I've been somewhere before, I've gone to a salon before where I vividly stood in queue waiting for my turn to be treated or to be attended to, and then one of the barbers foremost customer who gives him more tip after plus his barbing funds came in, and because he's a bit elderly than I am, he just came to me and said, please, Oga, please let me help. I need to hurry barb this man. That was the last time I went to that salon. Do you understand? Because I won't compromise because I don't drive a car or because I don't have as much money as this so-called customer of yours. It doesn't make him better than I am. If I'm giving you, excuse me, if whatever I'm offering you should be considered important, so your workplace culture should help you know that everybody should fall in line, your values, the culture in your workplace. How do you treat customers? How do you treat employees? How do you treat your superiors? How do you treat your subordinate? Do you jump the line to attend to your subordinates? Do you jump the line to attend to your boss? Do you I mean, so many things around the values and culture of a workplace. Yeah.
So you said something, and it brought me back to one of the live chats I actually watched with Funto and Temi.
Okay.
And that is, how do you treat people? The importance you put on people, because I realized the more I read about business and actually study excellent businesses,
Okay.
I realized that it has to be people oriented. They think of the people that they want to do the product for. They don't think of the product first, they think of the people first. Then through the people they know the product. Through the people they know the values to place forward. Through the people they know how much excellence to display. So it's, in a way, it's like you act. It's more like, okay, let's take for instance, we are Christians, so I'm going to use the Bible also. So in a way, it's like look within, as a, when you want to lead, don't be so much about how to place this. Don't be so much about the anti-artistics. Don't be so much about the physical structure, the way you dress and all this stuff. When you look within, it reflects at the end of the day without, basically. So the people are the within in a business. So the people are the ones that are the soul. I think that's the word. They are the soul of the business. So I guess what you're saying is, for you to form the culture of the business, you have to look at the soul of that business and work with it. Let it reflect. And then you also mentioned something about your vision and your mission, which is make it plain. But I have a question on that. Okay, we are right now, we are on business beyond skills.
Okay.
And as I always say, the goal, I call it the goal. I don't know whether it's the mission or the vision statement, but it's the goal. I say the goal is to build excellent minds in the business of craft. Now, is this a mission statement or a vision statement, or it can be intertwined?
Okay. So are you talking about the bottom line of the business, as in what you want to make out of the business, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That can form the framework of both the mission and the vision statement. Your what do you do when you want to start a business? Okay, let's just let's make it clear. You have a vision first. A vision comes to mind before you want. Okay, you want to solve a problem. That is a vision. You cast a vision in your mind. You have a vision cast already in your mind. So the vision is to, say for instance, solve the problem of hunger. Or we can't solve the problem of hunger, or we can only mitigate it. How do I mitigate the problem of hunger? I'm trying to give you a picture of how I and my partner actually formed this NGO. How do we mitigate the hunger crisis in the country? How do we mitigate the accommodation crisis in the country? How do we mitigate the educational flaws in our country? So T12, for instance, pardon me if I'm advertising our business, our charity organization here, but I'm just trying to make a case study with it, you know. So how do we solve this problem? Fortunately, he had been in this business of ideation. I call it ideation. He generates lots of ideas, but we found out we build them and then put them in the cubicle or put them in an incubator until the resources come for us to go ahead with it. So when this time came about, we just came together and this vision just came. Okay, at that time I had served with a foremost NGO in Nigeria. Then I've served some years with them, and I've garnered some experience. It was out of my passion to try to solve this problem of hunger, or see how I can pay my own contribution to it. So we had this vision. This vision directed us on how to go about it, which formed our mission. So the vision came first, and then we had a mission. The mission, we had to build the mission statement. What are we going to do? How do we go about, bringing this vision to come to pass? What do we do? So we started forming our ideas. We started bringing ideas together, nodding our head, hitting our heads together to pull so many things together until we came up with a workable idea, and then we started it. So back to your question, how does your achieving a bottom line, driving as a bottom line, how does it, where does it play? Like you already, and you said, it can be intertwined into both of them. Whatever your bottom line is, if it's to make a lot of money, for instance, it should form the fabric of part of your vision statement as well as your mission statement. If you are going to solve the problem of hunger back again, you have to be able to inculcate some of those ideas into your mission and your vision statement. They should be clearly spelled out and serve as guideline as to how you want to go about this, achieving this your goal.
Thank you very much. I think from what you just said, I think I understand it as what my goal, which I said, is to build excellent minds in the business of craft, is the vision statement. The mission statement now could be doing Instagram live chats.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's more like a mission. The mission to do the vision.
Exactly.
The steps.
Exactly. You get the drift. Yes.
I guess everyone understands that. So you have to form that to know what culture then you're going to inculcate in your business. Now, I have a question, because sometimes we feel like our business is separate. We've been taught that your business is separate from who you are. I believe that's what they teach in business school. Your company is different from you as a person and stuff like that. But I've realized that there's a way your personality seeps into the business, especially at the beginning. And if you're a worker in that business, because you can start a business and you have nothing to do with the business, you just have employees that are doing and running around. But if you are if you're well inculcated in the business running, then there's a way it seeps into it. So in such situation, I have started an organization. The culture that I have seen, and the culture, let me not put the blame on somebody else. The culture that I have formed is something that I am not satisfied with. I accept my faults. I accept I wasn't intentional in doing what I want to see, but now I want to change it. Okay. I have started changing myself personally. I've started reading books. Now I'm more exposed. Now I am seeing better organizations. I'm seeing how they run their things. And they say if you know better, you do better. So now I know better. But my organization has grown. It's not just about me anymore. They are used to this system. How can it be changed? That's the first question. Can the value system be changed? Can the culture be changed? If yes, how in practical terms?
Okay. Let me start by answering your question that didn't really come out, which was, can you separate your personhood from your business? Like you said, theoretically, we were taught in business school that your business is separate from your person. True. But if you must be honest, if you are the initiator of that business, or if you are the boss in the business, your personality will find itself somehow, consciously or unconsciously, through habits. Mark that word, habit. Habit is a word that we too often we don't we underemphasize the word habit. So somehow our habit finds itself into our business, and you find yourself, sometimes you just get lost, and you find your business going in the direction of your temperament or who you are. For instance, I lean so much on the introverted personality. They say I'm an introvert, but I find out that when I'm within my elements, when I'm within my circle of influence, I might not know you. Say, for instance, the first time I came in contact with you, the conversation just flowed. I find myself in that climb. But ordinarily, any first timer who comes in touch with me or comes in contact with me will call me a snob, will call me all whatnot. I've seen that. I saw one of my employment, I suffered because of misrepresentation or misinterpretation of my personality. So that much said about your personality. Yes, it can actually have a great influence on how you run business, on how you do business, either as a business owner or as an employee or as a boss in an employment. So yes, you talked about culture. When you find yourself in a certain culture, you said, can it be changed? Is that the question you asked? Yes. Okay, good. When I've been working on one idea, which it's a psychological term. It says some employers, some business owners, suffer from what I call cognitive entrenchment. Cognitive entrenchment. That is getting stuck in the way that you've always done things. Even good habits, you can get stuck in a good habit, but you find out that that good habit has actually outlived its welcome.
Yeah, true.
You understand? So most of us suffer from cognitive entrenchment. We entrench what we already know. We entrench it so hard that we don't want to let go. It has always worked, so we can't stop using it. Not knowing that thing had been outdated. Imagine the generation we are, the Gen Zs, for instance. They find it difficult to understand what you call a Walkman. In those days, Walkman is the in thing. Game Boy. I remember what I did with Game Boy with some of my colleagues. They can't understand. They can't relate with those things, as much as we do. So you just imagine you getting stuck with an idea that has outlived its welcome. That is what's called cognitive entrenchment. Though it's a good habit, it was a good idea, sometimes you are already on a train that is already going south already. So the cure to that, how do you change a culture that has outlived its welcome, is a series of action, but starts with one idea I call rethink. Just rethink. What do you mean? Think about how you've been doing your business. Think about where your business is. Think about where you want it to be vis-a-vis the changing cultures we are in today. Things are changing so fast. I was making an explanation to a friend of mine when I bought my iPhone X. way back in 2018. I remember I paid $1,000 cash. I paid that phone was so precious to me. I paid it. I so much held it close to my heart. It was a status symbol. Beyond the status symbol, it was one of it was my prized possession. So the day the phone fell from my hand and it cracked, I promise you,
Wow.
it was everybody around me suffered the brunt. I fell into my shell, you see. But recently, because I didn't do away with that phone for some reasons, because I had some things on it. So recently, when Apple sent their update for iOS,
Yeah.
and I tried updating when the iOS 17 came in. To my greatest amazement, they said my phone does not qualify for the upgrade. And that was when I sat back. It was so funny though, but I sat back and I thought, just 5 years ago, this was the in phone. I mean, it was the next gen phone. 5 years down the line, things have. Do you know what five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Just like that, they outdated the iPhone X. They didn't consider it worthy of the recent upgrade they gave to all their phones. So that's how fast cultures, things are changing. If you stick onto an idea, a good idea, iPhone X was a good idea, but today is no longer. Sorry, we are still using, but after some time now, if you want to stay modern, if you want to still upgrade your apps, you have to change phones. Sorry, enough. I remember I gave some of my other lower level iPhones to some of my relatives, and I onboarded all my apps on them. And when I tried, I installing the app, they said no, they don't qualify. As an app as simple as YouTube was not qualified to be upgraded. So I'm like, you see, we don't know how fast this world is moving. It's moving at a fast pace, so fast that you have to catch up with the train. You have to stay relevant. How do you stay relevant? Rethink your business model. Rethink how you do your business day in, day out. Rethink how you relate with your employee, because employees will be okay, fine. There's the advent of AI now, which many people are they have different opinions about them. That's not what we're talking about right now. But I'm just trying to bring in the importance of how fast the world is moving today. So the only thing we can do to get ourselves relevant, the things that we can do to get ourselves improving our bottom line, is having to rethink. Rethinking is not just a skill. It's not just a skill to master, but it's a value. Rethinking is a value we should embrace culturally. We should embrace this value. What are we supposed to rethink? You have to rethink like a career checkup. Who says you can't switch careers? Before now, you have a travel. I also I double as a lead consultant for a travel consulting agency, and we used to have a brick and mortar office, but we all had to switch online because that is where it's working. That is what happens today. That is where you stay relevant. That's how you can cut across borders. I can tell you I have clients beyond the shores of the location I am, beyond the shores. People I've not even seen in person. I don't even think I will even ever meet, who have called me, who have reached out to me to render service to them. And I have, all because I stayed relevant. I switched online. So if your business actually isn't working, who says you can't change? Who says you can't rethink the career path you are on? So there are so many things we need to rethink and examine that will help us stay relevant in business.
Thank you very much. So, from what I just got, you said there are lots of steps to take, but one step that is sure is to rethink. And in my own understanding, in my own words, I call it question your reality.
Beautiful.
Always question your
Beautiful.
reality. Every step of the way, question it. Because what you perceive as the truth today may not be the truth
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, you have to be humble enough to understand that your truth is not necessarily the truth.
Exactly.
So always know that the world is bigger than your world. And that's one thing I've always learned, which is my world is smaller rather than the world. So with that, you also said something about we should do career checkup. If it's not working, change the model. You see, in that segment, it brought this thought to my mind, which is even in the vision. Sometimes your mission statement is not working. The things, the steps you said you will take is outdated.
Yeah. Exactly.
Change the method. It's not.
Not working.
I want to believe that a vision can either be expanded or be innovated, be changed totally. So if that vision is not working for the present time, because your vision most times is based on what you see, how you perceive, and if, as we said earlier, the world is bigger than your world. So if your world is still at a point and the world has changed, you will need to change your vision. You will need to change how you are taking your steps, your methods. And it doesn't have any effect on your integrity as a person, because sometimes we are too proud. We feel like, can everybody hear me? I feel like you are freeze. You are
Yes, I can
frozen
hear you.
rather. Okay,
For
okay.
real, I can hear
So
you.
it feels like sometimes we are too proud. We are proud. We are so proud that we feel if I change this, what will people say? They will say I'm not consistent. But the consistency should be towards progressive change. But that's not what we are talking about today. So let's not go so deep into that. We may come back for that later. So now I'm going to ask the next question, which is, as a worker, can you influence the value system of your workplace? Can you change how things move? And what's the healthiest way to do that? What's the right way to do that?
Uh, okay. So if I'm if I'm if I'm to answer that question honestly, it simply is yes. You can influence the way a business is done. You can influence the culture of a whole nation. You can change a nation. For instance, for instance, I'll remind you about a foremost um, human rights activist in the US, Martin Luther King. His
Yeah.
famous word, I have a dream. That one day, he
Yes.
had a
So
dream. And, and you see, just one man, he went against the grain. It took a long time, but in our lifetime, we saw a black president of the United States of America. I also remember the story of Mahatma Gandhi of India. He, he brought the whole nation to his knees. When this man refused to eat, I can't remember the number of days he didn't eat, in protest to their government. And eventually the whole nation came on their knees because what he did, he commanded and the attention of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, yeah, of India. So that answer is yes. Yes, you can influence the culture of the workplace. You can totally change the culture of your workplace. Be you an employee, be you a subordinate to, or I mean, you can actually influence the nature or the direction of your business at any point in time. But the thing is, how committed you are to that drive. How committed are you to that goal? Are you just doing it for the clout, or you are doing it to actually change something, a fundamental issue in the business? If that answer is yes, then you can actually change. I don't want to overflow it, but I think yes. I would just want to go straight. So that's why I highlighted with those examples to let you see that yes, it is possible to influence the direction of a business, but not arrogantly. If you're asking how do you do it, you don't do this arrogantly. You are not gonna go out and say, okay, this is not I mean, you are not the owner of the business, for crying out loud. You can only draw attention to yourself, and after a while, you command attention. And if you are committed to it, you definitely get, a good response to your drive. Yes.
What happens when you don't get a good response?
Okay.
Because it's two ways.
Okay. You can be shown the way out. You can be shown the way out. You can be kicked off the business, but that can champion, or that can raise another desire in you, maybe to start a parallel business or start a similar business in that line, and build something. I mean, we have lots of stories. I can go on and start giving you examples of people who have actually been fired from a business and eventually, thank God, I also am a product of one. If I didn't suffer a derailment in my career path along the line, I probably would still be stuck with an employment where eventually I would have just been liturgical. I would have just been, I mean, I probably wouldn't have met the number of people I've met. I wouldn't have taken the steps I took. Thank God for some of the things that happened that we consider adversarial to our path in life, but they turn out to be, the building blocks that championed a better reality for us.
Yeah. Speaking of firing, so so where does hiring and firing come in place when it comes to, as an employer,
Okay.
when it comes to building a culture and having value system in your organization? Where does hiring and firing come into place, and what's the right way to do it? What is there a system to doing
Okay.
it?
If you are hiring, for instance, I'll start with hiring. It has to go back to your, I believe strongly, it has to go back to your vision and your mission statement. What your process of employing or hiring a new staff should not be far-fetched from your vision and your mission. It should tell you the kind of employees you want into your business. And when you have the structure in place, you try to keep that model intact. You have that model, you have it ironclad. Yes, you have to have it rethink over time. Excuse me. I also
Okay.
recommend a 5-year. I do a 5-year rethink now. I've championed I've directed my life in a way that every 5 years I rethink how I do business, how I do my family. Is it working? I look at my family model. Is this model working? Is this working for us? If it's not, then I find a way to tweak it. I find a way to to rethink it. I find a way to rejuggle it, because I found out that every 5 years, especially, I mean, very soon, that timeline is going to thin out. It's going to thin out over time. But right now, after every 5 years, I rethink my process. So your process of employing also has to be well thought out. When it's well thought out, you stick to it. Your culture, your vision, your mission, what you want to achieve should drive the kind of employees you want. And also, when you have them in, I've seen a situation whereby an employee, because maybe he has favor with the boss, he circumvents his supervisor and goes ahead to curry the favor of his boss, circumventing his supervisor, who is his reporting channel, and then go to the boss, and the boss, welcomes him, gives him a pat on the back, and sometimes he asks that employee to snitch on, whoever, to get him information he wants to get. Those are the beginning of the end of that business, if I may. Because when you don't have well-structured business, when you don't have well-structured line of reporting, these things tend to affect the bottom line. It will not affect today, but you find yourself, you who started that, who initiated, who accepted for a subordinate to go off the line of channel that you have as a business owner put in place, you will find yourself in that same boat not too long from the time you started, because what goes around, they say, always comes back around. And then the issue of firing, also your culture. What are the conditions that will lead to you firing an employee? What values drive? Is it insubordination? What are the things that will make you fire an employee? For instance, I think of something I call confident humility. I remember the story of Melinda Gates. She was in her employment in their business. Then they gave a free ambience for employees to relate. They call it like a feedback loop, a feedback box, whereby you come and you tell us what do you think is not working, what are your things. And some of them, they said that this particular day, they said they should just chatter about anybody, just draw an art about anybody. They feel just draw anything you feel about any of your colleague. It might be the employer, it doesn't matter. So people were just throwing around artworks, and one drew Melinda Gates as a thin, crooked. She drew her in a very unpleasant way, and it was anonymous, mind you. This was an anonymous because nobody will have the guts to do what they did, that kind of a thing. So anonymously, they did that and they threw it in the box. And when they saw that of Melinda Gates saw hers, do you know this woman her response to that artwork was so pristine, was so, I didn't expect it. It was so unexpected. And she said, wow, now she actually knows she has to start gymming. Because truly, that as simple, it was so funny, but she didn't take that thing to heart. Imagine you, for instance, in Nigeria, I'm sorry, I have to use back home now. In Nigeria, an employer sees that. He might go to the extent of, let me find who drew that thing. Get the writing of the person, and you find out that you find that person being terminated over time because you are not confident in yourself. That's what I call confident humility. That is being secure enough in your strength so as to acknowledge your weaknesses. Believing that the best way to prove yourself is to improve yourself. The best way to prove yourself is to improve yourself. You don't have to stick on the boss of critics. Yes, how well do you handle critics? When you are criticized, how well are you in that zone? Authoritarians will want you thrown out. People who are weak, they say, knowing because some leaders are weak, they want to silence their critics by making themselves. When you try to silence your critics, you only make yourself weaker. When you try to, but strong leaders, they engage their critics, making themselves stronger. When you engage someone who is criticizing you, you're actually building strength for yourself. When you are constantly, witch hunting, looking for, trying to see who is not on your side, trying to, find your so-called quote unquote enemies, you are making yourself weaker. You are just exposing your weaknesses to the whole world to see. So your culture, actually, your culture, which starts from your vision and your mission statement, should actually help you fine-tune your hiring and your firing process, everything that has to do with your business. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. So I just learned something about confidence, humility. And one thing that stood out to me from what you said is values and cultures can actually be mad, in other words,
Yeah.
destroyed or formed by your responses. The way you react to situations can change the culture of the organization in a jiffy without you even saying anything. Because if you people have sense, if people thought, or if they thought that they were safe, they're in a safe environment, and you respond in a negative or adverse way, it's it makes them to start to walk on eggshells. So in a way, it influences that culture. So the best way, as you said, to prove yourself is to improve yourself, and you have to work on your responses as an employer and also as an employee. um, you also said something, which is how you respond to critics. You especially as individuals, as leaders, as people that want to have amazing businesses. I think one of the things we need to learn to do, whether it is convenient or not, is to learn the acts of engagement in the negative aspect and in the positive aspect, because it's not always going to be positive. They would not always praise you. You would not always praise yourself. You would have critics. People will fault you. And people would also show you what you're doing wrong. The truth is you're not perfect. You're also on the path of progression. So you would have situations where people see better and they show you that this thing you're doing is not it. So the way you respond to things would either it would either build your structure better or mar it or just destroy it. For us to leave our businesses behind would mean that our foundation is very, very solid. And to build a solid foundation, you would need to be solid yourself. Your structure, your systems have to be solid. And one of the things that would make it solid is the response to critics as well as the response to praises. I'm so excited. I'm happy. I'm so glad I got that. So I have the next question. I think it's the question before the last. We'll soon be ending this. So the next question is simply, how do we translate this value to profit making? We know that every business, the point is to make profit. We want to make profit. We need money. Look at Nigeria economy now. Money is important. So how do we make profit? We are talking value, 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 how to respond to people, how to treat people and stuff like that. What does that have to do with me that I'm making shoe? I'm not even treating my customer. So how does it translate? How can it make it better?
Okay. One of the imports of this discussion is actually how to better improve our businesses, how to better improve our bottom line. Okay. It might interest you to know that according to the Society for Human Resources Management, it states that a positive workplace culture that has a positive workplace culture has 20% higher sales, 65% lower turnover, and 15% higher employee engagement. Factor all these things. As remember, I said 20% higher sales, 65% lower turnover, and 15% higher employee engagement. Okay. As a craft person, as a shoemaker, like you just highlighted, how does it affect your bottom line? It's as easy as, imagine selling a shoe. Recently, I ordered a shoe back home and I sent it abroad. You know, I took it abroad, and every single one I gave those pair of sandals were impressed. Impressed with what? Impressed with the finishing. Impressed with the packaging. The shoe itself was beautiful, yes, but the details, the details, the details. Most of those things were probably done when the employer was not in the office. They were done when no one was watching. But the details that were paid, the attention, the employee paid good attention to details. So say for instance, that shoemaker was not treating an employer well. What will you say? Maybe when you see a knot, you are trying to, to tie a knot or trying to do a finishing. If the knot, the string is not well laid out the way it should, and some people, like I for one, I'm a near perfectionist. If when I pick any item, I look for the faults. That's what I look for. I'm always out for the fault. If you speak English now, if you and I are speaking, I'm always looking out. Somehow my ears has been programmed over time to listen for your vocabulary error, the errors you make, how you present your tenses and all of that. It's by nature. The same thing for a business. You imagine you don't treat your employees well. Like I said, 15%. If you lose that 15% by not having a good workplace, your employees will not be able to engage you. Oh, Oga, they will not tell you what you are doing wrong. You have to have that ability to listen to. Fine, you are the one that even taught them how to social, mind you. You are the one who you apprenticed them. They came under your tutelage and you taught them. And are you humble enough? Are you humble to take corrections from your employee, knowing that you are the one that taught them? Do you think you have the overall eye? Can you see it all the time? No. So you see, as little as having a positive workplace culture, it goes a long way. Somebody who receives a package off the country can tell whether care has been paid, attention has been paid to the package. How do they fold the cloth? The box might be wrinkled, but how was the cloth, folded? Was it well? They can see love. They can sense love in when they receive their package. So if you are just in an employer where the boss is only about the boss, employees have a way of sabotage. I once was there. I was once in that picture. I was once there. I mean, in the hotel where I used to work, there's something we call the 3 deadly sins of housekeeping. One of them that I never forget is hair in the bath. If you see one strand of hair, if a guest walks into the hotel, and there are some guests like that, you'll be shocked. They will go straight into the room and they'll look for hair. When they see hair, they will call the manager. Guess what? That employee they'll get the employee who cleaned that room. That employee is gone.
Wow.
If the employee is not a permanent staff, he's gone. If he's a permanent staff, he'll receive a query and he will be sent home first. That's why they call it deadly sins of housekeeping. If you see hair, just one strand of hair that did not come from them, they see that hair in the bath, that employee who cleaned that room is gone. So some end users, they look out for the flaws in a business, and as little as that, it can make or mar a business. I run a business that I interact with both local and international. I speak with so many foreigners. I mean, I deal with so many foreigners. So I've learned their ways, that those things that we overlook as Nigerians, they actually matter. Okay, you have to think, are you comfortable? Is your business only designed to satisfy people in your neighborhood, in Ipaja, in Ishaga, in Okokomaiko? If that is where you want to stay, fine, all well and good. Even at that, those people now, they have relatives that have jackpot outside the country, so they are getting a sense of how life is out there, expectation. That is why people are challenging our government today, demanding for better governance. That's not where we are going. But we are talking how a positive workplace culture can actually affect your bottom line. As little as engaging your employees, carrying them along, encouraging inclusion, encouraging them to be inclusive in your inclusivity, in your discussion, in how you build your business. Will tell whether you're going to have a high turnover. If you're going to have employee retention, if people are not moonlighting, you see people at some point, people were just moonlighting from one bank to the other. At some point in our nation's history, people were just crisscrossing. When this bank is paying high, they will jump over there. When you just find people jumping from one bank to the other, because the nature of employment was not satisfactory. But when you get to certain employment, you find people, they even stick to it when they find out that the workplace culture is healthy. You cannot be anyhow, you cannot be ridiculed, you cannot be rubbished because of what you're doing. I would like to make this final point on this. Out here, outside Nigeria, you find out, um, there's what they call dignity of labor. You can be a cleaner at an airport, and you do it with dignity. It doesn't change who you are. I can, for instance, walk into any hotel, call it, name the hotel in the US where I have access. I can literally walk in there and I'll sit and I can interact with anyone. So if you are an employee in that kind of setting, they don't make you feel less of a human being like we do. But we experience them back home. These are the things, these are the values that actually drive or affect the bottom line over time.
Wow. You've actually answered the questions I had, and wow, dignity of labor. The truth is, as I said earlier, the more you know, the better you do your things, the better you become. I always thought, long time when I started, I always thought the fact that I did the work is good enough. Like, I put all my heart in doing the work, but don't expect that I'm going to stress myself with packaging, especially since I know you are going to throw the packages away or something. So I always felt like it was just a waste of time. Like, the person will take it immediately, just tear the packaging, and you're like, the thing that I use money to buy and stuff like that. So when you speak now, for me, there are a lot of things I would need to change. That's personally, but I've also been able to realize, that's hearing you speak, I've been able to realize that they may not value it much, but it reflects. And once it reflects, it registers.
Sure.
Once it registers, they know. And when they move, they will move with that knowledge. So even if they don't value it, when they see others and they see somebody that values it and they want to refer, the person they refer is somebody they already know. Exactly. That this person can deliver this thing like this. So even if you know that immediately you give it to this person, the person is wearing it, just do your best. And I'm going to, because when I listen to people, I learn, and I learn going forward. So I'm going to refer again to the last live chat which I listened to, which was with Fruto and Tammy, and they said something about the spirit of excellence. Normally, if I was coming for this live chat, I wouldn't be prepared in terms of physically as I am. Trust me, I did more than I should. So yes, and it may not be as extravagant as what somebody else would do, but I know that I put my excellent feet out there, and it's in some sort of way it reflects. I'm going to end with this before I ask the audience if they have any question, which it was the last time we spoke was about the announcement I gave, and you said something about the way I tweaked it and all. And the funny thing is, prior to that, it has been crazy in terms of I have had stage fright. I literally, when I get there, I start to stammer. I don't know if you noticed over time, I start to repeat my words. Sometimes I stop because I can't see again. I can't see what I'm reading. So
It's space
like
right. That's
it's
it.
a serious matter. And this is a situation where I rehearse before I come. So I have to keep questioning my reality. Like, what is the problem? You ain't like this before. What's causing this? So I decided to do something different. I decided to ask myself, okay, if you were talking, if you were natural, how would it be? Let's try it. Let's see how people will respond first. And then you can now work on it. And that was how the idea came about. So it sometimes challenges. You said something about that earlier. Challenges pushes you to become better.
Yeah.
It pushes you to build up on your value system. It pushes you to become more excellent. And you have to understand that who you were yesterday is different from who you are supposed to be tomorrow.
Mm.
You're supposed to be better. You're not supposed to be the same.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be somebody different in terms of becoming a better person, becoming at par with the present. So I love that you spoke a lot. You like my book is full. Is literally full. I've learned a lot. And if you have any questions, we have about 1 minute, so you can send in your questions. I think I've basically asked the questions and I summarize every time you
Exactly.
speak. So
Exactly. You
yes,
did a good job. Yeah.
yes, we won't really go into that. But if you still have questions after this live chat, you can send it through the DM or you can send it to my WhatsApp number. I would see what I can do. But thank you so much, Mr. Christopher. I want to put it to you. Do you have any question for me?
um, Questions for you. Okay. It's more of like an observation or a comment. And like you said, rightly said, our last discourse, whereby I lighted, my ears, I don't know, somehow always it's just programmed to just hear things. I just speak things. When I heard your, announcement online, and I just saw the difference. I felt like I was live there with you. I felt like I was there. And if I was there, I probably would have been the one to just come and usher you down from the altar and tell you, well done. If nobody had said, oh, turn on the light. I probably, I probably thought, sorry, I
That,
probably, I probably, uh, I probably would have made you feel uncomfortable, but it was a way I would have appreciated what you did because I saw the work. I just saw the work you did. You put a lot of work into that. There was a lot of finesse, though not 100%, but yes, significant improvement. And to that, I will let you understand something also that I didn't mention, that I failed to mention, that we live in a world that mistakes confidence for competence. Um, you can appear confident, but your competency level is below par, below average. But once you can show up, the people who are making money today are those who are confident enough to act their foolishness. Today, what do we do? Watch skits. Skits. They are the ones thriving online. People doing rubbish, showing, all whatnot. They are the ones making all the money. One of them, I don't want to mention, who always takes off his shirts and acts weird and crazy. When I heard what he was cashing in dollars from YouTube, over $40,000 every month. That was way back last year. And what does he do? Exhibit confidence, foolish confidence, but his competency, but he's dishing it out. So you have been able to show that you are competent by fighting your own, pardon me, demons, and then improving yourself. That is the best thing you can do to yourself. You have started, you're on the right trajectory, and it's just a matter of time. The world will hear you. Forbes will celebrate you. Like I always see your projection. You'll be celebrated. You just keep at it. You know, it's not a thing you start and then you stop. It's not a thing, you know, it should be a habit. When you make it a habit, you find yourself getting better. When we have this discourse next, I know it's not going to be on the same level. I'll have more. I have to have my brain picked a lot more than this, you know. So that is what is expected when you improve on yourself. So you've started well, and I know you end well. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope that going forward you will see the difference, not just in me, but in the people that join, and we will get testimonies from outside saying that they actually got something from this. Maybe not today, but definitely one day. So I'm so glad. I'm happy that this happened, and I really appreciate you. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much, sir, and God bless you.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Have a great night.
And you too, my dear. Bye.
And that's wife you and the children.
They're here. They're here. You. Thank you. My regards to everyone back home.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Yeah. Bye for now.
Thanks, sir.